Accenture या नामांकित कंपन्यांमध्ये त्यांनी मॅनेजिंग डायरेक्टर म्हणून काम पाहिले असून त्यांनी 800हून अधिक प्रोफेशनल्सला ग्लोबल डिलिव्हरी टीमचे नेतृत्व केले आहे. याशिवाय त्यांनी डिलॉइट आणि PwC मध्ये क्लायंट फेसिंग बिझनेस रोल मध्ये कार्य करून विविध इंडस्ट्रीज मध्ये सुद्धा मूल्य निर्मिती केली आहे. USA, UK, युरोप, इंडिया, जपान आणि सिंगापूर अशा विविध देशांमध्ये सरांनी आपलं कार्यकर्तृत्व सिद्ध केले आहे. अशा या सरांच्या विस्तीर्ण अशा सरांचा विस्तीर्ण अनुभवाचा आपल्या सगळ्यांना निश्चितच फायदा होईल अशी अपेक्षा बाळगते आणि संवाद शृंखलेच्या आजच्या या 9व्या सत्राला आपण सुरुवात करूया अशी विनंती करते. ओव्हर टू यू सर.
धन्यवाद. अतिशय चांगली ओळख करून दिलीस आणि खूप बरं वाटलं की मराठीत एवढी चांगली ओळख करून दिलीस. तर मी माझा छोटासा डेक बनवलाय तो शेअर करतो आणि आपण कार्यक्रमाला चालू करूया. तर एक मी फक्त तो डेक शेअर करतो आणि आपण तो चालू करू.
येत होता, स्क्रीन शेअर होत होता.
होत होता ना, मी तेच परत एकदा बघतो
हो.
की येस झाला ना.
गुड टू गो, गुड टू गो.
ओके. सो ओके, पहिली गोष्ट, थँक्यू सो मच. मला अतिशय बरं वाटलं असं इतकं व्यवस्थित मराठी बोलली आणि चांगली इंट्रोडक्शन केली. सो थँक्यू सो मच. तर आज आपण काय बघणार आहोत? आय एम ट्राईंग टू स्विच टू इंग्लिश इन द एरियाज ऑफ बिझनेस अँड प्रोफेशन, बट अदरवाईज मला मराठीमध्ये खूप बोलायला आवडेल. तर आज आपण बघूया की अनविलिंग माय कॅरेक्टर, आय मीन करिअर दॅट शेप मी. त्याच्यामध्ये लीडर्स, लोकेशन आणि क्लायंट्स ज्यांनी माझ्यावर वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारचे परिणाम झाले की आणि हाऊ इट शेप मी इन टर्म्स ऑफ माय करिअर. सो द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड is first and foremost. I should thank GMG and Anand Ganu sir for this opportunity. I literally feel privileged, elated, and humbled. And I mean all these three words. It is just not English there. I really mean that. So, Anand sir, thank you so much. And GMG, thank you so much. Now, since this is a public forum and this will be on the social media, I just want to ensure that there is a disclaimer about the due credits to different entities, people, owners, copywriters, because I may use some terms, I may use some company names, brands. So I just want to be sure that we are protected as GMG. As I said, guardrails, let's make it social media safe. Let's try and keep our questions and conversations very professional, with very limited, references to certain people or even personal details. This session is about GMG, and we are at GMG, and that makes a lot of sense. I would request this to be more conversational and engaging than that of my monologue. And I would really request all of you to ask questions. And I would be very happy to guide you guys. And in terms of career, that is the most important discussion because the name of the program is Career Katta. And we are anyway going to respect the data privacy contours while we talk about the journey, my journey. Okay. Now, what was my driver? All of you might be surprised suddenly Shanta Shelkinchi kavita समोर आली. But when I look back and I reflect, this is what I feel ही जी पहिली लाईन आहे, तुम्ही डेफिनेटली वाचा. पण तिथेच मला वाटतं this is how not only me, there are many people who are much more than successful with, more than me. दे हॅव दिस. सहज मिळे त्यात जीव तृप्तता न पावे, जे सुदूर जे असाध्य तेथे मन धावे. अँड दिस इज द बेस्ट वे टू डिफाईन वेन यू वॉन्ट टू बी सक्सेसफुल, यू वॉन्ट टू अचीव समथिंग इन लाईफ अँड कीप गोईंग. आता उरलेली कविता तुम्ही शोधा आणि वाचा, कारण बऱ्याच जणांना या कविता माहिती असतील की नाही हे मला माहित नाही, पण आय वुड रिक्वेस्ट यू, व्हेरी फॅन्टॅस्टिक. uh, inspirational kavita, I would say. बाय द वे, तुम्ही मला मध्ये कधी थांबवू शकता, प्रश्न विचारू शकता. सो आय एम ओके टू डू दॅट. देर इज नो मोनोलॉग ॲज आय सेड. सो this is my driver of my life. That's what I would say. This kind of helped me move forward around the world. Okay, influences. So I would say I was lucky, bestowed, blessed, because I'm basically an engineer and MBA, born and raised in Mumbai. And I realized that my initial work, which I did, was real typical engineering work. And I'll definitely share some great anecdotes of my technology work, which I thoroughly enjoyed when working with particularly a company called Yokogawa. Yokogawa is equivalent to Honeywell in Japan, and a very old company, I think more than 100 years, called Yokogawa Electric Corporation. And they make fantastic, very high quality products, which includes distributed control system, process control systems, as well as measuring instrument, I mean precision measuring instrument. And after I was doing my engineering work, I suddenly realized, okay, rather my father encouraged me to do MBA, and I did my MBA with NMI, MS Narsi Monji Institute of Management Studies, and then that landed me with Price Waterhouse Associate those days, which later on became PwC. Then I went to Deloitte and finally ended up with Accenture. And Accenture is a huge company having about 775,000 people around the world. So, what actually allowed me to go around the world are these three consulting firms where I got opportunities, and I ensured that, I took the opportunity, I and did contributions, and I learned a lot as well. So, global exposure and hands-on experience, I would say those are the two things which really helped me, and that developed a very good business acumen. And as an engineer, I definitely had those analytical skills and problem solving abilities, but with management, my exposure, my ability to think much broader, really got honed and it got sharpened. And also, I started thinking for anything, even if I go to a restaurant, I start thinking how they must be making money. Are they really profitable based on their location, their menu, the cuisine, the chefs? So you start thinking like a businessman once you do your MBA seriously, and then make it happen. Uh, then let's go to the next slide. So right from beginning, you know, I had interest in applied innovation in problem solving. So there is innovation, no doubt. There is discovery, there is innovation. But if it is not applied, it remains in the laboratory. It needs to be applied to the real life problems, and it needs to solve the problems. And that's where my it was kind of my nature to figure out, applying the innovation to problem solving. Very important other work experiences, devil is in the details. Unless you get into details, unless you go to the root, you really don't understand what are the real problems, because superficially there could be many things, but eventually when you get into details you realize, and that's where then you start applying the innovation and then solve the problems. And we will talk about it a little more when I share the anecdotes. Work-life balance, there's always a big debate, particularly in Europe, because I work there. So you can't send emails on the weekends, and if you send, you don't expect responses. You can't text anybody, you can't call anyone. But that is called separating work and life. But when I work literally around the world, I realized there is nothing called work-life balance. It is work and life are the two sides of the same coin. You cannot say, oh, I will separate it. No, it is not possible. And I would say I enjoyed that blending very much. I learned it fairly quickly early in my life. And I think that has really helped me do whatever I could do. I mean, there are much more successful people than me, but I'm decently kind of successful, I would say, in particularly consulting career. Okay, now I wanted to put this as work locations, and I've not added any places where I'd gone as tourist or move around for fun. These are the places, and that's the reason I separated out. In US, these are the states where I worked, uh, be it for different companies, I mean, different clients, I mean to say, Fortune 100 clients, mainly Accenture and even before Accenture. So this gives me a very good understanding of cultures of the states in the north, the states in the south, and even in between. And that really helps me to assess when I'm in that particular part of United States, what would I expect culturally. I was extremely lucky to work in other parts of the world as well. It's not only United States and listed the countries, particularly UK. I worked in few specific locations, and there's a beautiful small town called Newbury, and it's a headquarter for a very, very big telecom company. So in Switzerland, I was almost there for 3 years, living in Zurich on and off, and then worked in some more areas. And then naturally, other places which I already listed down. Japan was a fantastic experience, particularly. Now, people will think, oh, it is only outside India. No, I loved working in India. I all the main cities I've listed on the left side, but you will be surprised. I went to the interiors of our country, Surat, Kakrapar, and I purposely put that National Power Corporation's I'm sorry, NPC's corporation's uh, nuclear power station in Kakrapar, which is near Surat. I'd been to crazy places like Bilaspur, Jabalpur, and this was so many years back. There were no flights those days to those places. It was only by train. And I still remember there was a train called Kolkata Mail, Allahabad Hokar, Kolkata Mail, Nagpur Hokar. And I've traveled in those trains and enjoyed as well. So this really gave me a very good understanding of all the locations. I'm equally comfortable having vada pav and tea on a stall anywhere in Pune or Mumbai, and having a seven-star restaurant with a lot of mannerism and right usage of forks and spoons as well as knives. So that has really helped me in terms of connecting with anybody around the world. Now, let me share some anecdotes. I mean, I really didn't want to make this as a place where I'll read out my profile or resume. No, because here, all of you are here to learn from what I did, and not necessarily it will be applicable to you directly right now, but you can take some things away and possibly apply it in your situation going forward. So here are the 6 areas I kind of said, okay, I can divide. So as I said, innovator, and I used to work with Yokogawa. And Yokogawa, I'm talking about like 30 years back. They had amazing technology, very highly advanced technology even those days. They had something called analyzing recorder, and that was a very sophisticated electronic equipment which analyze so many inputs and actually give a lot of analysis those days. And I used to go and meet some engineers at ONGC in Bandra. Bandra is their headquarters. And they wanted to understand, and those who are engineers here can easily relate. They wanted to understand the efficiency of the diesel generator sets on the rig called Sagar Ratna, which was in Bombay High. And I kept asking too many questions. It was having back and forth. So finally, that engineer became friend of mine and say, I'm getting bored. Why don't you go there? So he organized my trip there. First time sat in a chopper or a helicopter. Now helicopter rides are common, but those days it used to take off from Juhu, uh, and Pawan Hansa was the helicopter service. And I went there and I studied, diesel flow, uh, reactive power, active power, current, voltage, all the parameters when all the five diesel generator sets were on, and I came back with the data. That was one of the most, I would say, exciting experience for me, although I moved around the world, that I cannot forget ever. So that was one application which Yokogawa in Japan recognized. Oh, nobody has done this. And those days it would go in the journal. There was nothing online. Then I happened to do something for the airlines. So if you go and check all the airline cockpit windows, or rather airplane cockpit windows, are single. If you sit in an aircraft, it is a tube in the tube. You'll always see two windows, like there's a gap between two. Whereas for the cockpit, there is no such thing because they can't see in that case. So those days, now they have changed the material, everything is advanced, but those days they were thin mesh of copper wires between the two layers of the glass. And those were heated with the principle I square R. So um, that principle, okay, of electrical engineering was used in reality. And why it is used? When the temperature goes down, when the flight takes off, it goes to 35,000 feet. So what happens, the outside temperature could be minus 60 degrees Celsius and inside temperature is 24 degrees Celsius. Definitely the glass will break. And that's the reason as the gradient changes, the proportional uh, current was passed, I square R principle, and the glass was heated. And as the temperature gradient reduced, when the flight comes down to the ground level, it will reduce the supply of the current. So the temperature reduces. Phenomenal application. And again, I use that analyzing recorder. And again, that got into the journal of Yokogawa, a new application completely. Then there was something called Thane Belapur Industries Association, and those who are from Mumbai, Thane, New Mumbai can relate. And I use one of the product called HR recorder. So those recorders are nothing but similar to you would have seen the seismic activity recorders in case of earthquakes, and those were something similar. There were 6 pens, 8 pens, 16 pens, PENs, and those that one of the recorders called HR recorders was used to set up a weather station. And so there was wind speed, wind direction, wet bulb, dry bulb, relative humidity, temperature, all the sensors were put and a weather station was set up. A very unique utilization of HR recorder. And let me now switch to my consulting life where the innovation was again applied, was Deloitte. So there was a SharePoint portal which Microsoft announced, and Deloitte and Microsoft were working together closely. And they announced it, and then they were looking for some applications which they wanted to publish. Now, SharePoint portal, everybody uses, everybody knows, but those days it was very new, and Microsoft wanted to make it a big success. So we used it, or I led it, I mean to say, as an innovation, and we built a knowledge management system around that, and we put it at BPCL, Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, as named as Gyanagni. And then the same thing I presented in 6 cities in India, main cities, and the platform was provided by Microsoft to present how SharePoint portal can be used for capturing tacit and explicit knowledge. So that was the innovator part I could share as anecdotes. And outstanding achievement, if I want to call out, so there were two situations. I don't want to call out the names of the client because it might be good. It was when I was with Accenture, where a very serious situation. I would say Accenture was put on notice, and a lot of reputation loss, a lot of loss of even contract. So I was thrown in there, and in an year's time, I turned the situation around, and not only uh, situation was made better, but got more and more business. So one was in New Jersey and one was in California, and both were extremely large clients for Accenture who who continue to be Accenture's clients now. I'm no more with Accenture for last 2 years, but this was long time back. Leadership, yeah, I can say that leadership was something which I could exhibit on, I mean, say hands-on leadership for a Swiss bank out of New York City. And we did a digital transformation for them for their global platform. And literally, I used to work crazy hours because it was a global footprint for that Swiss bank. Then I cannot forget the excellence part of it, where I worked with an amazing leader called Bhaskar Ghosh. You can Google him on LinkedIn. He's now Chief Strategy Officer of Accenture, directly working with the CEO for a long time. He has been a member of Global Management Committee. And I was just lucky that I got 1 year to work with him on a program called Accelerating AO. I was his PMO, Program Management Office Lead, working with him in Bangalore. And I learned a lot from him in terms of excellence and the leadership as well. And during that time, Bhaskar became the first Indian to be part of Global Management Committee, directly working with that time CEO. His name is Pierre. He was Pierre. I meant to say he's no more. And I just happened to ask Bhaskar, hey, now will you move to US or Europe now that you are part of this committee? Very senior position, the first one. He smiled. He was a very, very sweet guy. And he said, look, Rajiv, the leadership is here and not location. And that has like impacted me so much. I realized that leadership is in your mind. Your designation doesn't really define whether you are running a leadership role, is what you do and how you do. The location doesn't matter, the title doesn't matter. Then comes impactful portion of it. So about one company in UK. So there I was given a very tough task of actually letting some of my local colleagues go from Europe because the costs were very high and the client was not ready to take that cost, and build equally good technology team in Pune. And that was something called Oracle Rodod. That's a stack built for what you call as all the mobile companies to use that. I don't know whether what they use it now, but yes, that time Oracle Rodod was very famous, and amazing team from India. They were ramped up in 1 year, and we those days in Accenture saved millions of dollars and continued to save. So it was a huge impact in just 1 year. Then the last part was Trailblazers. Now, typically, if you Google, the meaning of this word is invariably used not necessarily in the right context, but there's something you start and then others follow, though you are the first one. So long time back when I was part of a team for a German Swiss bank where they used to use Swiss German for their communication. And when we went there, we won some work. I was part of that team also when we made the proposal and we won it. I had gone for what they call as orals or presentation of the proposal to Zurich. We suddenly realized that all the requirement documents were in German, and they said, now, okay, start analyzing it, make designs and start coding. Now, what to do? I swung into action. I found out two people, or rather two ladies, who were amazing, excellent, expert in German. And they became part of my team. And then we added some more German women, and they were amazing. And the first woman was a Maharashtrian, and she was from Pune, by the way. So they did amazing work of translating that back to English. Then the coding team will take it over and then code. And they also made documentation in German as well as English. When the code was completely done, the system was built. And then we built a bay. I built a bay, spent $10,000 those days, and a fantastic bay was built. And most of the clients who would visit Bangalore, they would come to the bay and look at the excellence, center of excellence, what we call as. And these three ladies will start speaking with those visitors, particularly if they're from Germany, Austria, or Switzerland, in excellent English. I'm sorry, German. and they'll be completely taken aback. Hey, how can they speak? So we have amazing talent in India and how we do it. Incidentally, with that, then later on there was a capability created. Then people started learning French, Spanish, all those language capabilities were created in India. India used to be called at time India Development Center, IDC. Now they call it ATCI. But yeah, that is called Trailblazer. That's the reason. And the last one I definitely want to talk about, Bombay Dyeing. Go back to Yokogawa days. Those days, vortex flow meters, even very few people could understand. So those who are from mechanical engineering or those who have done fluid mechanics can understand there's something called eddy currents when a fluid flows through a pipe. Now, those days, they created a flow meter without a rotor inside, and that would measure the current using piezoelectric effect. There was a small piezoelectric sensor there, and it was a crazy thing. There was nothing, no internet. I got a CD from Tokyo or Shinjuku, rather, where the Yokogawa office was. Not CD, sorry, floppy. And there was a configurator in that, and I had to do configuration into that software. And any small error, like your temperature, inlet temperature, outlet temperature, viscosity, pressure, literally every parameter. And there were 30 flow meters were manufactured, sent, and that were for Bombay Dyeing Patal Ganga plant, and they became the big hit. And that's the first time Yokogawa designed, solution, and sold vortex flow meters in India. That's how it started, and I guess that was a trailblazer equally. Now, what were my learnings throughout? Being punctual. I mean, I love Gano sir for that. I mean, we share the same thing. You have to be punctual. There is no excuse. My technology is not working. Train is late. No, I didn't get up in time. No, you have to be punctual. And I'll give you an anecdote where we lost business in Japan. So we had got an appointment with this very big company for a big project, and in Japan, those days, I don't know how it operates now, but appointments were fixed at least a month in advance or more. And they would ask who's coming, their background, and number of people coming. And then they will pair uh, team from their side, exactly same number of people. And sometimes they would tell, no, we don't need so many people, depending on availability of their side. So, and there will not be a round table, there'll be always a long table. The boss will sit, and the senior most person from our team would sit in front of him, and it will go like this. And the bosses will start talking to each other. And once they are done or they want more details, they will turn to right, for example. So that is next in line. Then that person will talk to the person sitting in front of that person, and like this. And nobody does the cross talks. But most importantly, they expect you to arrive at their office 15 minutes ahead, because there is always like entry formalities. But unfortunately, one of our Desi guy became late. He came like literally 15 minutes late. We lost the meeting, and we lost the business and the client. They so being punctual is very critical in particularly countries like Japan, Austria, Switzerland, Germany, and as well as United States. I don't want to comment about England because I had mixed experiences. But yeah, very critical, and people make opinions about you if you are late. Outcome focused. Try to be outcome focused. Whenever you want to do something, even get onto a call, look for what are you going to get out of it. Not only you, but even other stakeholders. So there has to be some outcome. Unless you are talking to your friends over a cup of tea, that's a different discussion, or chatting with your siblings or parents, that's a different discussion. We are talking here about business, career, and profession. Um, at least for me, I kept always evolving, adapting with agility, because in my experience, if I don't evolve, I'll not be here. And that's what I would request you to do. Just forget what was there possibly an year back or 2 years back. Keep evolving, keep reading new things continuously. So that is the mantra of being evolving. And why? There is another reason. I want to give an anecdote. In Bagrole, I was running two fantastic clients and very comfortable clients like Disney, Warner Brothers. And one day my boss calls me, hey, let's have lunch together. And lunch was in cafeteria. It was not like some fancy lunch place. I said, okay, what's the deal? Hey, you are going to Los Angeles. I said, what? For what? Oh, there is a big problem. You are going there. I said, but what is the problem? He said, you go and figure out. That's how that's how the leaders were treated those days. I don't know how now. And I had to land there, figure out what was going on, and that was the one of the turnaround stories. And this was repeated multiple times. So you need to literally go there, parachute yourself down, understand the whole landscape, and then become successful. So you need to be really adaptive. Value addition, very critical. I mean, there were countries, there were locations, there were places, projects where some cases I was asked, why are you here? And those days I was very, very nice and say, maybe you will come to know soon, and then they'll see the value addition. At any point of time in professional or career journey, if you are not adding value, very soon you'll be, I don't say removed, but you will become not relevant very soon in the team as well. So you have to keep ensuring what value you are adding to any kind of situation in your profession or career. The last portion I want to talk about the relevance of experience. So will my experience 30 years back with Yokogawa is relevant now? Not necessarily, but what I learned in always being innovator can never be taken away. But the relevance of experience is very critical. You have to keep checking continuously whether it makes sense, that whether the experience is relevant. So I know I learned Turbo Pascal long time back. It is not relevant anymore, right? So that's the way I look at it. I would also say that there are very few, not I wouldn't say candidate, but kids doing engineering, MBA. They would try to go to FANG, the slang called FANG, right, for technology. Everybody wants to go to Bay Area. Everybody wants to work for Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Google, Tesla, possibly. But consider option joining one of the big consulting firms, the Big Four, what I call as now they are Big Four. Earlier they were Big Six, and even Accenture, Capgemini. They are really places where you can get fantastic experience, global experience. It can teach you a lot. And there are also very high placed organization called McKinsey, uh, then Booz Allen, Boston Consulting Group. If you end up in one of my friends' son got into McKinsey, I really felt very nice for him. So try and even keep your goals very high. So my dad always used to teach me, like, what he used to say is not the failure, but low aim is a crime. So try always. You may fail, but that's fine. Try to go that level. Anyway, I'll stop my monologue, and I would really expect some questions. I have last slide, but I've kept it for um, last, basically for thanking. So I would be here, and I'll stop sharing, and then I'll bring up the last slide when I'm done. Oh, there are so
धन्यवाद
many in
सर.
chat.
येस.
Yeah.
धन्यवाद सर. आज खूप उत्तम असं तुम्ही मार्गदर्शन केलेलं आहे. जसं पाहिलं जातं की तुम्ही जगभरातल्या वेगवेगळ्या ठिकाणी काम केलेलं आहे, तर तुमचा एक्सपिरियन्स अतिशय इम्पॅक्टफुल आणि डायनॅमिक आहे. आणि त्याचप्रमाणे बिझनेस इस्टॅब्लिश करताना आम्ही जर ज्या पद्धतीने आता युवक आहोत, तर सुरुवातीला कुठल्या गोष्टी लक्षात ठेवायच्या, जसं की बिंग पंक्च्युअल, आउटकम फोकस्ड, त्यानंतर व्हॅल्यू ऍडिशन, ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टींची जी महत्वपूर्णता आहे ती तुम्ही आज तुमच्या स्वतःच्या एक्सपिरियन्स मधून आम्हाला एक्सप्लेन केली. त्याबद्दल खरंच खूप आम्ही आभारी आहोत. तर इथून पुढे विद्यार्थ्यांच्या प्रश्नोत्तरांना आपण सुरुवात करतोय. ज्या विद्यार्थ्यांना प्रश्न असतील त्यांनी हँड रेज करू शकतात.
Yeah.
विद्यार्थी प्रश्न विचारतायत तोपर्यंत आनंद गाणू सर तुम्हाला काही बोलायचं?
No, I'm good.
ओके. पुढचा क्वेश्चन आलेला आहे आपल्याकडे पूर्वा वानखेडे.
It was absolutely wonderful session, sir, I must say. And the anecdotes was very powerful and got so much learning from it. My question is basically simple, sir. As you have worked in various domains and aspects, like consulting and in engineering perspective as well. So, when a student like us get enter into this corporate journey, so what should he first focus on? Should he focus on the skill adaptability, like various should focus on various skills, or should focus on single skill and then practice it over the time? Yes, this is the question, sir.
Uh, Let me try to summarize your question. So, what you are saying, when you enter any corporate or any company, what should be your focus, right?
Exactly, sir.
Right. So, when you are a fresher, okay, generally depending on what kind of corporation you enter, you will get opportunities. And yeah, there you need to be definitely focused on what you have on your hand. Okay. So let's assume you start coding as a Java coder for the sake of discussion. Then you need to really know Java in and out. But at the same time, you cannot ignore right now what is happening. Like you may also need to learn cloud. You may also need to learn AI ML because that is the reality of life today, right? And most importantly, I'm just giving a technical example. I can also take care of business side of it if somebody talks about business side. But most importantly, understand the business context. Why are you doing that coding? What that code will do to business of your company or your client. So understanding the overall picture is very critical for you to understand and deliver much better results. Now somebody will say, okay, this is my piece, I've done the code, now you guys have figured out. No. What is that code used for? What is the industry you're coding for? Let's say you're coding for billing, right? Then try and understand billing. And now there is no dearth of information. There are no boundaries, right? You can go and find out literally anything on billing. I just gave example as billing. So it is not just because a coder you have to only do code. You have to be best in what you are doing, but expand your horizons while you do that. And by the way, that's where I said I don't want to use any controversial statement, but in your early stage of career or business or life, you have to really work hard. You have to really work long. You have to ensure that your work is your worship, because then only you will be successful. Because that base, you will develop tenacity, you will develop endurance. Because I still remember I used to work crazy hours. There was a time when there was a meeting next day morning at 9 o'clock in Zurich, and I was in my Bangalore office winding up my work at 9 p.m. earlier day. And then I somehow managed to go home, pack my bag, go to the airport. Next day, reach there, and I give the presentation the entire day. The day ended at 11 p.m. with my team dinner. So, how did I develop it? I didn't do it. It just got developed because the tenacity, endurance, and commitment. Once you have that, nobody can stop you from being successful. Nobody.
धन्यवाद सर.
So, what's your background, Purva? What are you learning?
So I'm basically a second year agri-biotechnology student at MPKV Ramuri University.
Agriculture?
Yes, agriculture
Yeah,
biotechnology.
fantastic. So, agriculture biotechnology has a tremendous potential, particularly not in India, around the world. So it has crazy amount of potential. And we have one of the great person here in Florida. His name is Dr. Aglave. Maybe connect with him. He has done a great job, and I've spoken to him a few times. So that area is growing fantastic, because I'll tell you, with the climate change and with many problems we are facing around, the good quality food production is going to be challenged very soon. We may carry a sack of money, but will not find good products, good food to eat. So food scarcity, food security is a big thing in the near future. So stay committed. You will do very well, Purva.
Sure, sir. Thank you for the blessings.
Thank you.
येस थँक्यू सर. अँड नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आहे गणेश पवार.
हॅलो सर.
Ganesh.
करून घ्यायला सर तुमचं प्रेझेंटेशन खूप चांगलं होतं.
सारखं नाट टाकून ते शिवायला सगळं सगळं म्हणजे तो ब्लाऊज शिवायलाच राहत हे सगळं शिवायला ह्यामुळे.
हॅलो सर.
बोल गणेश.
तुमचं प्रेझेंटेशन खूपच छान होतं. सो सध्या असं म्हणतात की कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड मध्ये दोन्ही स्किल्सला महत्व जास्त आहे, टेक्निकल्स आणि सॉफ्ट स्किल्स. जसं आता तुम्ही कन्सल्टिंग मध्ये होता तर त्यामध्ये सध्या आपल्याला मायक्रोसॉफ्ट, एक्सेल, वर्ड सगळे रिपोर्ट बनवायला यायला हवेत, सोबतच सॉफ्ट स्किल्स पण जरुरी आहे. मग तुमच्या मते नक्की महत्व कशाला द्यायला पाहिजे जेव्हा आपण करिअरची सुरुवात करत असेल तेव्हा?
प्रश्न आहे. म्हणजे सॉफ्ट स्किल्स ही कायम लागत राहणार. सुरुवात करा किंवा चालू ठेवा किंवा कुठे म्हणजे आम्ही आता बोलतोय एकमेकांशी, आपण बोलतोय, ही सॉफ्ट स्किल्सच आहेत आणि सॉफ्ट स्किल महत्वाची आहेत. आणि याच्यामध्ये असं काही नाही की कोणतरी एक खूप चांगला कोडर आहे म्हणून त्याची सॉफ्ट स्किल चांगली नाही तर ऍक्सेप्टेबल आहे, नाही. तर सॉफ्ट स्किल तेवढीच चांगली आहे. तुमचं कम्युनिकेशन, ओरल अँड रिटन, it has to be fantastic. Now, again, I'll give you an anecdote. I started reading Economic Times. Again, my father encouraged me. And why I started reading? When I started, just before I started doing my MBA. And initially, I even didn't understand those days. Economic Times used to, I think it's a little bit of a pinkish paper, right? It is not white. So people would wonder, okay, why is he reading Economic Times? Initially, I even didn't know what I was reading. I mean, there were things like stocks, commodities, this, that, fiscal policy, monetary policy, forex. But then I started liking it. And can you imagine eventually in my last semester of my MBA, only 7 people passed. And many of my friends, I mean, I was in a group and they flunked in 2 papers, stoichiometry and other was government finance. And government finance I cleared only because of Economic Times, because government finance was 4 hours paper and the paper was so small, this much, only some 7, 8 one-liner questions. That's it. And you could write anything. And I think in my entire life, 8 semesters of engineering, entire MBA, the longest ever paper I've written and number of supplements I added was that same paper, government finance. Like question, I still remember the question's name. Describe the impact of plastic economy. Now, plastic that basically credit cards those days were new. Anybody can write anything. So because I was reading Economic Times, I could put that context and I could write what I wanted. So coming back to your point, it is not that just because you are good in Java. Again, I'm giving the simplest example of Java. You have to have good interpersonal relationship skills. Soft skills, definitely a part of soft skills. And you should be able to relate to what you're doing to your business of your company. And if your company has clients, their business as well. It's a very critical thing. It is not that one will replace the other thing. Everything is important and you have to have that. मी त्याला मराठीत आपण काय म्हणतो की चौरस दृष्टिकोन, करेक्ट गानू सर? तर असं असायला पाहिजे. यू कॅनॉट बी लाईक ओनली मी आय नो जावा व्हेरी वेल सो आय एम गुड. नो, इट इज नॉट ऍक्सेप्टेबल.
येस थँक्यू सो मच सर. अँड नेक्स्ट आनंद कानू सर प्लीज.
सर तुम्ही सुरुवातीला सांगताना तुम्ही डिस्क्लेमर दिला, तुम्ही व्हर्च्युअल किंवा सोशल मीडियावरती असताना काय काळजी घ्यायची सांगितली. सो ॲज अ टेक्नॉलॉजिस्ट आणि आपण सगळेच ग्लोबल व्हर्च्युअल मीडियावरती किंवा सोशल मीडियावरती असतो, सो त्या काळज्या आपण आपल्या टोटल करिअरमध्ये ॲज वेल ॲज आपण सोशल मीडियामध्ये किंवा लिंक्डइनमध्ये अपिअर होताना काय काळजी घेतल्या पाहिजेत आणि त्याचा खरोखर काय इम्पॉर्टन्स आहे हे जर सांगितलं तर बरं होईल.
अच्छा अच्छा, मला म्हणताय का सर?
हो सर, तुम्ही सुरुवातीला चालू केलं की हा डिस्क्लेमर आहे, मी हे सांगतोय. कारण काय बरेच जण प्रेझेंटेशन आम्हाला सगळ्यांनाच आयुष्यात पुढे प्रेझेंटेशन करायचे आहेत. म्हणजे मला नाही करायचे आहेत, पण या विद्यार्थ्यांना प्रेझेंटेशन करायचे आहेत, सोशल मीडियावरती किंवा मोठ्या प्लॅटफॉर्मवरती यायचं आहे. सो टेक्नॉलॉजिकली आपण वी ऑल कॉन्सन्ट्रेट ऑन टेक्नॉलॉजी. पण हे जर पाठ राहिले तर आपल्याला काय त्रास होऊ शकेल किंवा ते त्या गॅप्स राहू नयेत यासाठी काय करायला लागेल हे जरा प्लीज सांगा. मे बी तुमचा कोर सब्जेक्ट नाहीये, पण म्हटलं त्याच अनुषंगाने लोकांना हे समजून जाऊ दे म्हणून मी विचारला प्रश्न.
हा हा कोर सब्जेक्ट असायलाच पाहिजे आणि होता कायम. आणि ऍक्सेंचर मध्ये इन्फॉर्मेशन सिक्युरिटी याच्यावर एक पॉलिसी होती. ओके. आणि तिथे लिटरली policies.accenture.com म्हणून इंटरनल वेबसाईट आहे, तिथे सगळ्या पॉलिसी लिस्टेड असतात. आणि इन्फॉर्मेशन सिक्युरिटी इज अ व्हेरी 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 क्रिटिकल पॉलिसी. आणि माझे जे बरेचसे क्लायंट्स होते त्या बँक्स, फायनान्शियल इन्स्टिट्यूशन्स आणि अशा होत्या. त्यामुळे इन्फॉर्मेशन सिक्युरिटी ऑर एनी सिक्युरिटी फॉर दॅट मॅटर, इट्स अ व्हेरी क्रिटिकल टॉपिक. आणि नाऊ आय शेअर अन अनेक्डोट. आणि तुम्ही जे म्हणतात ना की it can have a significant negative impact on somebody, and I'll just share an anecdote. I'll not definitely take somebody's name or this thing. So I had one guy who was amazing in his work, fantastic technologist, and working for one of our client projects. He wanted to go to United States, and the client was in United States naturally. And everything was done, client liked and the team onshore liked him. Everything was planned, done. He got his visa stamped. Everything was done. Next week he was supposed to travel. Okay. Suddenly I get a phone call from the HR and our policies team, information security team, that, hey, there is a big violation. I said, what happened? No, there is a big violation, and this person has maybe deliberately or inadvertently. Now, मुलांनो हा शब्द लक्षात ठेवा. इनएडव्हर्टंटली म्हणजे तुम्हाला जरी करायचं नसेल तरी तुमच्या, मला मराठी शब्द सुचत नाही आता, बट नकळत, राईट, इनएडव्हर्टंटली सुद्धा या गोष्टी ऍक्सेप्टेबल नाहीयेत. त्यांनी चुकून त्याला त्या कंपनीच्या ईमेलला एका मित्राने काहीतरी इनअप्रोप्रिएट मटेरियल ची ईमेल पाठवली आणि त्यांनी चुकून ती फॉरवर्ड केली. एक लक्षात घ्या, तुम्हाला येणाऱ्या ईमेल्सवर तुमचा कंट्रोल नसतो, पण तुम्ही पाठवणाऱ्या ईमेलवर तुमचा कंट्रोल असतो. आणि त्यांनी ती पाठवली आणि दॅट वॉज कॉट. आणि ती कंपनी सगळ्या ईमेल स्कॅन करते बाहेर जाणाऱ्या, आणि ते पर्सन्स करत नाही. इट इज थ्रू सॉफ्टवेअर. And what do you call as checkpoint is one of the firewalls, just for the sake of example. There are so many firewalls. तर ते चेक होतं, तिथे ती पकडली गेली. आणि जो माणूस लिटरली नेक्स्ट वीक मध्ये अमेरिकेत एका चांगल्या प्रोजेक्टवर सक्सेसफुली जाणार होता, ही वॉज फायर्ड ऑन द सेम डे. तर गानू सर म्हणाले ते बरोबर आहे की अशा प्रकारचे अनुभव लोकांना आलेले आहेत. आणि माझ्या माहितीत बरेच म्हणजे मला असे माहिती आहेत अनुभव, काय एका एका पर्टिक्युलर माणसाने भारताबाहेरच्या लिंक्डइन वर काहीतरी टाकलं, आणि ही पर्टिक्युलरली हॅड टू गो थ्रू लॉट ऑफ स्क्रुटिनी. सो कुठल्याही परिस्थितीत लक्षात ठेवा, माझे असे काही लिंक्डइन मध्ये आणि ॲज वेल ॲज रादर व्हॉट्सॲप इज मोर कॅज्युअल. पण व्हॉट्सॲपमध्ये पण काही वेळेला इवन माझे फॅमिली ग्रुप्स आहेत, फ्रेंड्स आहेत, त्यांनी जेव्हा फॉरवर्ड केलं तेव्हा मी त्यांना विचारलं, तुम्ही हे फॉरवर्ड केलं? तर मग त्यांनी असे एक्सक्यूज दिले की हो, आम्ही फक्त फॉरवर्ड केलं. मी त्यांना सांगितलं, जेव्हा तुम्ही फॉरवर्ड करता तेव्हा यू ओन इट. ओके, पिरियड. देर इज नो डिस्कशन अबाउट ओ मी लिहिलेलं नाहीये, बट देन यू कॅनॉट फॉरवर्ड. सो यू डू नॉट हॅव कंट्रोल ऑन व्हॉट यू गेट, बट यू हॅव अ कंट्रोल ऑन व्हॉट यू कॅन पब्लिश forward. So they say me disclaimer takle. Yeah, I'm happy to share with all of you. Use that when you are on the public forum. Ensure that you do not breach any information security rules for the social media and for your organization. Very critical. Your office email, your office phone, everything is for office work. Do not misuse it. It can cost you your job and career.
Thank you very much. I think we are on the
येस
hour.
येस, थँक्यू सो मच सर. आणि पुढे जाता जाता एक शेवटचाच प्रश्न आपण घेतोय, जो चॅटबॉक्स मध्ये मघाशी एका विद्यार्थ्याने पाठवला आहे. कृष्णा राठोड असं त्या विद्यार्थ्याचं नाव आहे आणि त्याचा प्रश्न आहे, व्हॉट इज द एक्सेलरेशन AO?
मीटिंग या सो तेव्हा असं होतं की ऍप्लिकेशन आउटसोर्सिंग, ओके, ते आम्ही जगभर ऍक्सेलरेट केलं. आणि लीड होते भास्कर घोष आणि त्यांच्याबरोबर मी काम करत होतो. जसं म्हटलं असं मी ग्लोबल लिडरशिप बरोबर, बट ही वॉज द मेन पर्सन. तर ऍक्सेलरेटिंग द application outsourcing around the world, that was the term which was used that time. पण आपण एखाद
येस,
दोन क्वेश्चन्स आणखीन घेऊ शकतो. आय विल बी व्हेरी हॅपी, बिकॉज मला उत्तरं द्यायला जास्त आवडतात कम्पेअर टू आय स्पीकिंग ओनली.
नाही झाली, वेळ झाली.
येस, आपल्याला वेळ पाळावी लागणार आहे. सो थँक्यू सो मच सर. आज
प्रॉब्लेम नाहीये. मी
महाराष्ट्रातल्या
एक शेवटचं एक मला हे दाखवायचं आहे स्लाइड, आणि म्हणून मी ती ठेवलेली. तर तेवढी फक्त एक मला दाखवू दे आणि मग आपण एक सेकंड मी शेअर करतो. जस्ट की मी 1 सेकंड, कारण मला माहिती आहे गानू सरांची नेक्स्ट मीटिंग लागलेली आहे आणि त्यांना आय नो दॅट. So just give me 1 second. I'll just share in 2 minutes and then we are done. So let me know you can see my screen.
Yes, I can. We can.
Yeah, okay. So this was the last slide I stopped. Now this is what my final slide is. GMG is a perpetual entity now. Perpetual means it's never going to stop. It is never going to die. It will be there forever. We should all appreciate the work done by Anand sir and the GMG. Don't forget, this is amazing. I mean, आपल्याला शब्द कमी पडतील त्यांचं कौतुक करायला. आणि आय वुड रिक्वेस्ट यू टू प्लीज कॉन्ट्रीब्यूट टू दिस मुवमेंट इन विच एव्हर फॉर्म शेप यू कॅन. आणि ज्ञानेश्वर माऊलींची एक हे जे 2 लाईन मी इथे रिप्रोड्यूस केलेत त्यांच्या परमिशननी, ते हे GMG करताय आणि ते रोप लावलंय गानू सरांनी.
ओके, थँक्यू सर.
येस, थँक्यू सो मच
नमस्कार.
सर. आणि आज महाराष्ट्रातल्या वेगवेगळ्या जिल्ह्यातून, वेगवेगळ्या गावातून, वेगवेगळ्या शहरातून आज सगळे विद्यार्थी इथे जॉईन झालेले आहेत आणि त्यांना अतिशय उत्कृष्ट असं तुमच्याकडून पुढील करिअरसाठी, बिझनेस उद्योजक या विषयासाठी काम करण्यासाठी मार्गदर्शन मिळालेलं आहे. तर आपण या सत्राच्या शेवटाकडे वळतोय, अर्थातच आभार प्रदर्शन. तर आभार प्रदर्शनासाठी साक्षी रोहड या विद्यार्थिनीस मी विनंती करते.
धन्यवाद पर्जन्य. नमस्कार. करिअर कट्टा उपक्रमाअंतर्गत करते मराठी ग्लोबल यांच्या सहयोगाने आयोजित संवाद शृंखलेमध्ये आज आपल्याला मार्गदर्शक म्हणून लाभलेले आदर राजीव थोरात सर यांनी अतिशय मोलाचे आणि महत्त्वपूर्ण असे मार्गदर्शन केले. तसेच विद्यार्थ्यांच्या मनातील प्रश्न देखील सोडवले. त्याबद्दल सर मी आपले मनपूर्वक आभार मानते. तसेच उपस्थित असलेले आनंद गानू सर, आदरणीय कोंडेकर सर, तसेच करिअर कट्टा अध्यक्ष आदरणीय यशवंत शितोडे सर यांचेही मी मनापासून आभार मानते. तसेच उपस्थित असलेले संपूर्ण प्राध्यापक वर्ग आणि जिल्हास्तरीय समितीचे सर्व पदाधिकारी या सर्वांचे मी मनापासून आभार मानते आणि आजची संवाद शृंखला इथे समाप्त झाली ते जाहीर करते. धन्यवाद.
धन्यवाद.
धन्यवाद. धन्यवाद.